goal difference sounds ridiculous.
Is that because it is?
It's not, until you realise that that's how our playoff quarterfinals and Challenge Cup knockout rounds work.
Oh, right, yeah.
The Challenge Cup semi-finals were won by Guildford, and they were won with an aggregate score of 8-3. They weren't won by Guildford 2-0. So how much they won each game by mattered. So two-legged games are basically decided on goal difference. It's not done on did you win the game or did you lose the game. It's not a 2-game series. It's an aggregate series. It's a goal difference series.
Right, yeah.
So we do still sort of use that. So we're just extending it from 2 games up to 60. The first thing that happens, though, is that nobody ever pulls their netminder.
No.
You cannot afford to give away a free goal at the end. So that sense of gambling for the extra point doesn't matter. Well, there are no points. So you're always keeping the game, as you're never taking a massive risk to chase a game that you've gone behind in.
Yeah.
And that's going to be one of the problems. If you're a poor team and you're 3-0 down early on, you're going to be really careful that this doesn't get embarrassing. You're not going to take a risk thinking, right, let's go all out here to try and get a couple of goals back at the start of the next period and get ourselves back in the contest. Because there isn't a contest. Every game is equally important at every single moment. So you're thinking, right, let's just not make this any worse for ourselves then. Let's just play for the 3-0 defeat. Because in trying to get it back to 3-1, 3-2 and maybe win the game, you're just risking it going 4-5-6. So poorer teams playing against good teams are just going to sit back and try and absorb it. They're not going to accept... they're going to accept defeat just to avoid the goal difference getting worse and worse. We've seen some terrific games this season with teams down at the bottom giving teams at the top a real scare and fighting back, and taking big leads in games. But that's not going to happen when goal difference is the thing, because your whole attitude to the game changes, because there isn't a game. You're just playing 60 times 60 minutes, and you're just trying to not get embarrassed as often as possible if you're a team down the bottom.
Doesn't it stop, though, this idea of... And we see this all the time with teams. They're losing 3 or 4-0, and you can just see the team just checks out. Do you know what I mean? Like, well, if we get beat 3-0, if we get beat 7-0, doesn't really matter. Wouldn't that stop that? Wouldn't it become a 60-minute game in that particular case?
You might not get as many third-period collapses. Teams aren't necessarily going to be changing that. Right, the game's gone now, let's give the backup 10 minutes of ice time. That doesn't happen anymore.
Death for the backups, isn't it?
Death for the backups, yeah. But also, one thing it will do, you look at it from a sort of the bottom half of the table and a negative perspective, from teams at the top of the table or teams that are winning games comfortably, they're not just going to cruise through the third period. If you're good enough to be 5 goals in front with 20 minutes to play, well, then you need another couple at least in this last period. You need to score another 2, score another 3. Put the pressure on. You've got to improve your goal difference. You can't think, the points are safe, we can rest up for tomorrow now. Here's your big chance to pad your goal difference and really, take advantage of other teams that might be having a tighter game today. You can make a big leap. The other thing about goal difference is it's easier to swing it in a couple of games than it is in terms of points. So you look at the league title now, and it's going to go to Belfast or it's going to go to Cardiff. They're the only 2 teams who realistically can get enough points to get up towards the top. But if Glasgow were to go on a winning run and, say, win the next few games 5-0, 5-0, 6-0, then they can make huge strides in a short space of time. Meanwhile, Belfast might be sneaking out the 1-goal wins. Glasgow are pumping in the 5 and 6 goal wins and catching them. You're not out of it for long. You're not out of it for a lot longer in the season until it gets to the stage where, okay, we need to win 12-0 today. It keeps the title alive and the playoffs alive for more teams. And also, mid-table teams like Nottingham, comfortably in the playoffs, but have got a slightly negative goal difference. Well, I'll tell you what, don't get hammered on your Scottish road trip. Suddenly, that becomes a double figures minus, and your playoff position's in doubt.
I must say, I've been doing a little bit of research around goal difference, and if it would change anything over the last couple of years, it really does, but not in the way you think. over the last couple of seasons. So last season, Cardiff Devils, 2017-2018 season, Cardiff Devils, goal difference was almost double the people in second. However, Manchester Storm wouldn't have been in second in that scenario. In this new dawn that you've created, the Manchester Storm would come third with the Steelers in second, only 6 goals behind on goal difference, even though they were nearly 14 points behind in points. Well, we still have the same champions. In 16-17, that would be the same case again. Again, the Belfast Giants wouldn't be second, however. The Sheffield Steelers would now be second, only 4 goals behind, even though they were 8 points adrift at the end of the season. It's the 2015-2016 season, which is the fun one. Steelers would win, but not if it was down to goal difference. In fact, the Steelers would come down to 6th in that particular season. They had a goal difference of 29. The winners would be a tie between the Cardiff Devils and the Braehead Clan. So if you wanted to use the separating factor of goals for, the Braehead Clan, who came third, would be your winners.
But what a final day of the season that sets up, when Cardiff and Braehead know that Sheffield aren't going to win their game by the 20 or 30 goals they need to catch up on goal difference. It's then just, who's going to win their game by more? Not just are you going to win, but how much are you going to win it by? I'm sure that happened on one of the Scottish Premiership finishes where Celtic and Rangers both went for a title and they ended up with something like 7-1 and 5-0 as they were just trying to outdo each other on goal difference because they were level on points. What a great setup to the end of the season that is. Because I remember one of the Steelers title wins back to the 2011 season under Ben Simon. Just needed to win on the last day. 1-7-2. Great. What if we'd needed to win that game by 8?
Yeah.
Well, we were 5-0 up after the first period, or in the second period. What a game that would have been. But all the tension was gone after those first few goals. We can sit back and enjoy the rest of the title now. The Steelers winning the league up in Fife. 1-3-1. Nice and comfortable. No real dramas in the third period. We're in front by a couple. We're going to win the game. But if you're forcing teams to keep going, because meanwhile, Cardiff behind you, they've just gone 7 in front. You know, with other teams have nothing to play for, you do get some lopsided games at the end of seasons.
It also would have changed the outcome of the 14-15 season. Steelers winning that by a point from the Bray Clan, who were separated by a point from the Cardiff Devils. The Devils would be the winning team on goals for because they had the exact same goal difference as the Steelers. So they would swap around and the Clan would drop down to third.
Well, the Steelers beat the Devils on the Saturday of that season. Yeah. Beat them 2-1. If you go back to that game and decide the league on goal difference, the Steelers know that, yes, they've got a bit of a cushion, but Cardiff still have their Sunday game to go, and they won their Sunday game big. So the Steelers, yes, we're 2-1 in front, but we can't rely on Cardiff not winning big on their last game of the season. We've got to keep pushing. We can't settle for a 2-1 win. We've got to keep pushing for a 3-1 or a 4-1 or something more than that. So it adds more dramas to games that sometimes other would peter out. Not that game in particular petered out, but
no. It
stops a team going onto the defensive sometimes, forces them to go onto the attacking. Cardiff can also sort of think, well, actually, a 2-1 defeat's not bad as long as we win big on the last day.
Yeah.
It adds a lot of drama to the end of seasons. When otherwise, we're too far behind, we can't catch them. Well, actually, you can now with just a couple of good games.
It's the death of overtime, then?
The extra goal is always worth something.
So you would still have like a clear win-loss. So there would always be, you'd always come away with an extra goal, or always come away.
Yes, your goal difference changes every game.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Because then you could see teams sitting on a tie, couldn't you? Because actually, it means you haven't come out any better or any worse than when you went in. So you'd still have overtime.
There are still some advantages to changing the way that the league is ordered in terms of 3 points for a win, using the 3-2-1 system, or just 3-1, or getting rid of shootouts, or just after 60 minutes it's a tie. It really doesn't change the league that much. The better teams still end up at the top no matter which way you choose to try and rank them.
Right.
And the same sort of thing applies on goal difference. It's not often that a team with the best goal difference finishes in mid-table.
No.
It's not often a team with the worst goal difference isn't in the bottom 2. Normally, the teams at the top are the best goal difference because they win most of the games. And they're the better team, they win most of the games by bigger margins. Mid-table teams are normally hovering around the 0 mark, maybe just above, maybe just below. So I don't think it'll actually change who wins, it'll just change how they win and how the games are played. That's it for another episode. If you have any comments about the issues we discussed or suggestions for future hypotheticals, then tweet us at hockeyhypo and make sure you leave us a comment and a rating wherever you're listening from. On behalf of Stephen Dowson, this is Jonathan Fernley saying goodbye.